Gucci and the Coochie. Yes, we are. Yo, back to back Avi here. And I hope you guys are doing great. I just want to give you guys a bit of a preview as to the video that's about to come. I want to break down all of these trades, give you guys my reasons and insights as to why I entered these trades. And yeah, they are pure SMC. If you guys know anything about my AKFX Telegram channel, which is the first and only link in the description section below, you would know that when it comes to Euro USD, the occasional chance that I trade GBP USD, I only use smart money. When I say smart money, I'm talking about order blocks. I also, of course, mix it in with supply and demand zones, but mostly smart money in terms of admit that I throw in sometimes ICT kill zones in the mix. Whenever I'm a little bit unsure as to the timing of what can play, etc., I do throw that in there just to add a little bit more probability. Nothing wrong with that whatsoever. Have to give credit where it's due. But yeah, we will go over the breakdown of this in the next video. In this video, however, I do want to go over how to identify imbalance close price action as well as hidden bases, because they are actually two different methods of identification, right? Similar to how, you know, you would mark an FVG, right, differently than you would mark, say, an order block. It's both areas can be used to either buy or sell, right? But they're marked differently. You identify them differently. And I want to give you guys a little bit of criteria. So let's talk about probably the harder one, or something that's a little bit more complicated, which is the IPA, also known as imbalance close price action. So this is basically just the 100% fill of an FVG or an inefficiency, just basically a gap between wicks, right? A 100% fill of that. So let me give you guys a couple examples. Let me give you guys an example of an IPA that you would want to sell from. So for example, I'll give you one that hasn't been tapped into before. Say this is fresh. This is a fresh daily IPA. It's the wrong one. Give me a sec. There we go. This is a fresh daily IPA. Why is this a fresh daily IPA? Well, if we were to take a look at it, we have ourselves an FVG or inefficiency. I mean, you know, there are more classifications and criteria to what the difference is between a market gap, you know, an FVG and an inefficiency and that stuff. But I'm not trying to get into that. If you guys know what an FVG is, it's basically, or an inefficiency, it is just a gap between candles, which stands for liquidity. So in between this gap, this candle's wick over here and this candle's wick over here, there's liquidity residing inside. So what an IPA is, it is just the 100% fill of it. So when this FVG right here, or this gap in the market, this the pocket of liquidity in the market gets filled 100%. It's not, this is not filled 100%. But when it does get filled to 100%, that top here, that top wick, right? That top wick, this is your IPA. Okay, so when it comes to smart money, how you would mark it up, or at least how I've learned to mark it up. Now, again, I'm not claiming to say that this is the correct way of marking it up. No, I'm not saying that. I am saying that this is the way I've learned to mark it up. Is it the correct way factually? I don't know, but this is the way I've been marking it since time. Okay, so how you would do that is you take it from the top wick, because this, you're looking at an IPA to sell, right? It's a daily IPA, you want to look to sell, and you would either take it up to the candle in itself, which is how you would mark a supply zone. Okay, this is how you would mark a supply zone when it comes to S&D. You wouldn't call it an IPA, you would call it a supply zone, a fresh, untested supply zone. Okay, but when it comes to smart money, or when you want to understand liquidity, we have the habit of marking it all the way up to the wick. Reason being, this is where your safe stops are going to be at, because, you know, we have ourselves our strong high, you know what I mean? Took the liquidity, break the structure, we have a strong high. That's where the safe stops are going to be. But when it comes to the actual candle in itself, when we say IPA candle, we're just talking about just this candle right here. This one which my mouse is on here, just on this one which my mouse is on. In this case, it's not been tested. It hasn't been tested yet. Let me give you an example of a candle that has been tested. So right here would be one. A great example of that. Right here. Can you see we have ourselves that top wick? You see? Top wick. Okay? So if I were to draw this out for you guys, we would have something like this. Bear with me, guys, bear with me. I'm literally drawing a candlestick on TradingView. This isn't MS Paint. Hold on now. Give me a second. All right, okay. And then we have for example, I don't know, a bearish candle like this. See, a bearish candle follows it. For example, the bearish candle opens right here. Just like that. All right. and this is going to be an IPA. So if you observe this, when price comes back, where the hell is my brush? There we go. Price comes back, that's going to be your IPA. Sometimes, for example, you'll see price does this. Give me 1 second, guys. Give me 1 second. Sometimes, for example, whoa, what happened to my frames, bro? Is my PC that shit? No, it's pretty good, I'd say. All right. Sometimes you'd see price do something like this. Okay, it'll go down first. I want to give you an example, like this, right? You create your IPA, price doesn't come back to immediately retest it. It comes like this, but then you'll see the next candle. Okay, you'll see the next candle come back up to actually test it. To actually test what? To actually test this. So how you would draw it is simple. Your IPA would be right here from the wick to the top, and here you will look for sells. You see how that goes? Here you will look for sells. So that is what, and I pause the video if you want. I'm going to delete this. But that is how you would identify IPAs like this. This is another example of an IPA. Guys, I have genuinely no idea. Maybe it's because I'm recording, my RAM is being taken up or something, but I have no idea why my frames are so low. It's never done this before. You guys know that. But anyway, this would be another example of an IPA. Okay. Why? Why is this another example of IPA? Because we have ourselves a gap. We have ourselves an FVG. Let's think of it psychologically, right? Make your brain understand this. You have yourself an FVG, okay, or an imbalance, whatever you want to call it, right? I don't care about the nitty-gritty. Understand the concept of it, all right? There's going to be 1,000 opportunities for you guys to correct me, but I want to help you guys here, okay? So we have ourselves an FVG. Between this wick and this wick, we haven't filled it. Yeah, sure, we filled 50%, sure, but we haven't filled it to 100%. When we fill it to 100%, which is right here, we will fill it to 100%. That is our IPA. So how will we go about marking out the IPA candle? Just like that. And in here, we will pay attention to sells. Okay, now why didn't that actually play out? Well, in hindsight, this looks like equal highs right here. This is in hindsight, guys. So just want to put that out there. Let's see on a lower time frame what there could have been. Yeah. So there's a bunch of low resistance liquidity right here that hasn't been taken out. And you can see that's why price gets, but let's not focus on the liquidity. Let's focus on how we can actually expand our knowledge when it comes to the IPAs. Another one right here. So once you get yourself your bias, these are going to be your points of interest that you want to pay attention to. That you want to pay attention to. For example, there's another IPA right here. Okay, again, notice how I'm only marking them when they're fresh. See how this guy didn't 100% fill, right? But then here we 100% fill. So what do we do? What would we do in this case, guys? How can we actually use this in the markets? Well, can we understand that we have ourselves a strong high? Once you understand how to mark IPAs, guys, you will know automatically how to mark a hidden base, because a hidden base is basically a more refined method. That's it. It's just a more refined method. And it doesn't happen in the turning points of the market. We'll get to the criteria in a second, but what I mean by the turning points in the market is when we have an IPA, it's likely going to happen here. But when we have a hidden base, it's likely going to happen here. At the structure break, that is where we would have our our hidden base at the structure break. But where we would one more time. Where would we likely have our IPA? At the turning points, the apex, right? Where would we likely have a hidden base? Where structure breaks. These are also known in supply and demand as decision points, right? Because the market made a decision to break that structure. That's why it's called decision points in supply and demand. But let's make it simple now. This is known as a hidden base. This is also known as a hidden base in supply and demand. Both terms are just juggled around. So how will we use this? Well, we have ourselves our strong high, all right, in this scenario here, the weak low, and then we have our inducement failure to fill that IPA. See how I'm using the word IPA here, right? So when price comes back, what would you do? This is the daily time frame. You should probably look for something like a H4, H1 Quasimodo, right? QM sell, right? So let's observe. Price this filled. So perhaps on the H1, let's look at the H1. Again, I'm not trying to lie to you guys and just go straight here. Let's look at the H1. So when we look at this price, oh my lord, I apologize. This is my daily. I haven't refined it at all even, right? But this is the daily, so we should understand it's probably not the wisest thing in the world for you to look at the M1. Well, there are criteria for that. It's not the wisest thing in the world. So when we look at the daily, we would probably pay attention to the H4, H1. Okay? All you need to understand, right, guys? All you need to understand is it high probability for me to be buying when price is up in here? No, it's not. To me, my personal opinion, that's not the way I trade. I don't think it's high probability. Yeah, you're probably gonna buy in here. Oh, look, I took out the sellers. Ah, dumbass sellers. Smart money for the win, right? But then, yeah, you weren't exactly on the right side on a macro perspective. Now, were you? Does it make sense for you to sell in here? Even though price did sell, I agree. But does it make sense for you to sell in here? No, you should probably either hold off on trading or pay attention to buys, right? Which I did. I took a buy, took the liquidity at the top, and I'm done, right? So before you ask yourself, Avi, I was looking for sells in here, but still it bought. I think, I should just keep buying in a bullish market. You're not wrong, but when I see stuff like this, when I see stuff like, this liquidity and stuff like that just building up, this is known as compression. By the way, low resistance liquidity is synonymous with compression, which is a supply and demand topic, which is a supply and demand method of approach. When we're seeing compression into a higher time frame, as in Inner Circle Trader PD array, when we're seeing compression come into a higher time frame supply and demand zone, we should probably hold off on the buys. Probably, take some profits from our buys, hold off on it, pay attention to some structure shifts. Because if the structure shifts from here, there is a very high chance, not 100%, because we're in the game of probabilities, there is a very high chance that price is going to goddamn sell and take these guys out. And what would our targets be? Just very quick revision, very quick refreshment. Would be this SNR liquidity right here. Would you, like, if you sell a standard lot, would you take your profits here standard lot hold? No, for me, I wouldn't, right? I would take it somewhere like this. Yeah, just completely paused then. It went from lagging to just completely holding off. Okay, I would take my profits. For example, let's say I sold here. Let's just assume I sold this even, right? Where would my first area of interest be? Well, right here, right? I could observe. I will just observe price action. It would be right here. I would observe price action. But I know that this would be a great, wonderful area for me to take massive partials off of. So you can observe price action, hedge it, etc. I apologize for this, guys. I genuinely have no answer to why that's so slow like that. But yeah, so when price heads in here, all you do is just look at your lower time frame, man. And for example, right here we have ourselves a boom, just like that, break of the last low that caused the high. Boom, just like that. This would be a 30-minute bearish QM because we would use this is our liquidity. Now watch, hold on. This is revision for your IPA. Hold on a minute. Okay, that's your liquidity, am I right? So where was your sell area be? Well, one sell area, an unrefined sell area, at least on the H1 perspective, would be this H1 bearish OB. Sure, I'm not denying that. That's a fact. That's true. But excuse me, goddamn, a refined. You see what happens when I don't drink chai? Like I'm just all over the place. I apologize for that. But when I refine, I would refine it to the IPA candle right there. Just like that. Is it always going to fill 100%? No, there are going to be instances where you do miss your trade. Yes, that's unfortunate. It happens. Tell me which pair, which strategy where you don't have a disadvantage, where you don't have a moment where you miss a trade, you hit your BE, you hit your loss. There isn't something like that. There is no holy grail. The only holy grail is when you find a strategy that works so synergistically with your psychology. And when you find that strategy, that is your holy grail. Don't go and market it as the holy grail. It's not other people's holy grail. It's your holy grail because you found a strategy that's working, as I said, synergistically with your brain. Okay? So when I'm looking at this, we know we don't want to sell in here. We go M5 bearish QM or something. No. We know on a macro scale, this is liquidity to be taken to the upside. Okay? Price heads inside. If you want to use ICT kill zones, we can see this is actually during, I believe, ICT guys in the comment section, please do correct me if I'm wrong. This is happening, this is 20, which is 8, am I right? Yeah, this is happening during the NY period. We'll use that. This is the NY session. I'm not going to mark the ending, I'm just marking the beginning, which is I believe 8 p.m. Malaysian time, 8 a.m. New York time. Am I right? Am I wrong, guys? But yeah, so that's cool as well. That's a nice little confluence that you can add, right? And when you sell, where's your take profit going to be? Right here. Boom. Okay, so you look at your lower time frame, or you can just sell from here. It's up to you. Okay, it's up to you. But that is how you would go about doing this. And then you can see how when price, comes back up, we don't want to play the reaction off of the QM. You can see how price takes that guy and then she drops. And then this guy, failure to create a lower low, so makes this whole thing here susceptible. Makes this whole, hi Alan, makes this whole thing susceptible. And boom, she goes. So once we take this liquidity, which gets taken right here, we can see how price reverses up. Why? Why is it, guys, that when price takes this liquidity, okay, right here, breaks the structure, right? Okay, a lot of people have been wondering, what's the difference between this as a break of structure or is it taking the liquidity? Well, you want to pay attention to, as I always said, pay attention to the last higher low, right? The last higher low that causes the stop hunt. Is this the last higher low that causes the stop hunt, or is this the last higher low that causes the boom stop hunt of these guys here? Am I right by saying this is the one? So why are you paying attention here, right? Price comes down, takes these equal lows, immediately reverses up. Why did this one hold? Why did this area hold here, guys? Let's read the market real quick. Why did this one hold? Okay, simply because this high took the liquidity, boom, right? Broke, not this low, this higher low did not cause a stop hunt, my friends, but this higher low caused the stop hunt. If this is not clear to you, obviously this has to be clear. Come on, this has to be clear to you, right? If this top one's not clear, for me, this is clear to me. It's a sell, buy, stop hunt, boom, break. So what is our inducement gonna be? I have two areas that I can point out to you in hindsight. Of course, I didn't take this trade, I'll be very honest with you. But in hindsight, again, I'm admitting these things because a lot of people out there, they don't like to admit that, you know, these are all hindsight plays. They're just like, oh, let's just immediately, you know what I mean, jump to the conclusion, right? My two areas in hindsight would be right here. What is this? What am I marking? An IPA candle, guys. Because why? We have an FVG, and I'm just taking the 100% fill. Okay, why not sell here? Because this is an inducement. All right, this is an inducement to me. And why is this an inducement? Well, freaking pay attention to the model. Okay, this is what is happening. Boom, that's our stop hunt here. Goes down. And she goes down, 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 just like that. This guy here is this guy. Okay, so pay attention to it. And so over here, we can look for our sells, all right? Why here? Because, okay, why here? Because we have this liquidity. Why above? Why also paying attention to the above areas? Because why? Can you see this high? Is actually an SNR liquidity. It's a little bit messy, but there she goes. Support, break, become resistance, sell, but we go and take them first, and then she drops, right? So you can see how the SNR liquidity makes it very easy. I rarely ever use the word easy when it comes to Forex. It's very easy for you to identify liquidity points using this method, or rather this approach of identifying SNR liquidity in the market, retail SNR liquidity, the one from YouTube in the markets, okay? So where did this sell come from? Avi, if I mark this IPA, we never even reach it, Avi. You're a scam, right? Scam artist, Avi. I completely agree with you. And as I said, it doesn't always have to deliver 100%, and there are going to be instances in the market where unfortunately you missed the trade. But let's take a look at some higher time frame areas. It's going to take probably 5 years for me to load. Oh no, it's actually pretty fast this time. Nothing here on the 2 hour. You could see on the 1 hour, if we mark the 1 hour IPA, it unfortunately didn't hit. Yeah, I admit that. We own that, okay? We missed the trade. But over here we can see we have a different kind of POI, which is a bearish OB, also known as a supply. Again, I'm just being very simplistic with this, please, you know. All right, and we react from there. Multi-time frame width, nothing on the H4, but multi-time frame with the daily bearish OB. So when you look at the daily, you're like, oh, it's just a bearish OB. We can easily just blast through. But what you fail to understand is from this daily IPA, so many things could be seen. The H4 shift, right? The first sell we took over here because of a H1M30. But unfortunately, we failed to create a lower low, so we can expect price to go and take these guys out. Once these guys get taken out, pay attention for sells, not for buys. In my personal opinion, I'm not FDA approved. I'm not FSCA or something. You know what I mean? I'm not a financial advisor. But I'm saying I would suggest you guys from a friend, as a friend's perspective. Okay, I'm your friend. The sad thing is I don't really have friends. But once we take the liquidity, we would pay attention for bearish QM. Once we get that, okay, we can assume retest, sell, go and take your liquidity here. Boom. Again, SNR liquidity. second TP over here. You can attempt and look for buys in here. I'm not gonna lie to you and say, oh, I 100% when I sold you, I 100% would take my profits here. No, I will admit to you, I will pay attention for buys in here. I will admit to you, because we took the liquidity, we break the structure induced by SNR liquidity, 100% I will observe for some kind of M30, M15 bullish QM, but as you can see, we just boom, just blasted. So okay, cool, maybe we don't have a trade then, right? But yeah, so that's that, my friends. I hope you guys understand IPAs now. If you didn't, please do watch this video again. I will give you guys, again, I will sort of like in the future videos recap a little bit more about the IPAs. But let's talk a little bit about the hidden bases. What are we at? 20 minutes right now. Let's talk a little bit about the hidden bases. So we've talked about IPAs. Again, guys, just giving you an example. Another one, an IPA right here. Right, it's another IPA. All right, there's a hidden base there. When it comes to bullish ones, of course, you guys know, is this a bullish, like an FVG for buying, where price comes inside and we will look for buys? Yeah, it is. So if we 100% fill this guy up, 100% fill, that would be it, right? Price comes 100% fill. So my friends, this is your IPA candle. This is your IPA candle. Just that. Price comes inside, you pay attention for buys. So yeah, of course, it didn't work here, I admit, but that is the focus. That is how you would mark it. Okay? When it comes to this IPA candle, you're better off marking the hidden base, but that is how you would mark the candle, the IPA candle. Because why? This is an FVG, right? We don't look at the 50% fill, in my personal opinion. I don't look for the 50% fill, but rather the 100% fill. You see how that goes. Okay, let's talk about hidden base, my friends. Hidden base is just the kissing candles, they call it. That is a hidden base. What happened to my voice? I'm sorry. That is a hidden base. Okay. This is an IPA for buying. Okay. Let's look at another hidden base. This is a hidden base. Now, what is my criteria for hidden base? I like to only look for hidden bases as a higher time frame POI and not a lower time frame entry or anything like that. You can use it for a lower time frame entry. However, for me, my discipline is that I don't use hidden bases for lower time frame entry, but rather I use hidden bases for a higher time frame point of interest. And I only use hidden bases on the higher time frame in confluence with a structure break. So a structure break or a breaker, whatever you want to call it, I look at it like that. So for example, if we have something like this, boom, and then she goes like that, you see how price broke the structure here, boom, and that's my hidden base I'll look for. Okay, if for example there was something like a hidden base, like a hidden base is actually just a refined version of an IPA. Boom, there you go, is a refined version of an IPA. Okay, so let's just give you guys more examples. Aren't too many. Well, if I were to go to, there was just so many IPA plays that I can't really tell you about the hidden base ones. Let's see. There we go. This is a brilliant one. Oh, this is a sexual one. I tell you, I'm getting horny just looking at it. This play right here, this buy. Can you see this buy I took? I took this buy, mind you. Every single thing's posted on AKFX. Look at where I bought it from. Obviously, you know, it's the QM, whatever, all that stuff. But focus on the POI. Look, M3 IPA. Yeah, I had a bit more of a stop loss, 2.5 because of spreads, but look at how I'm marking the candle also, guys. Look at how I'm marking the candle. 100% fill. Right? We have our FVG inefficiency. No, not 50%, but 100%. See how I'm marking the candle of it. Okay? And she goes. What was my entry for the top here? Let's go and check out on the M1. Forget that. Okay. Can you see here? What is this? IPA. Can you see there's a FVG? Sorry, let me get rid of this for a second, okay? Can you see that there is a gap here? There's a gap between this candle. Wick here, space in between. Correct? Correct, right? Wick here, space in between. Okay? 100% fill. And there she goes. And conservative stop loss, or if you want aggressive stop loss, then you go. I took a conservative one, and that is that. Right? Let's check out more examples. I want to see if there's a hidden base one. I did take this sell. Why did I delete the RR measurement? Why did I take this sell? This one was an OB. This one was an OB one. Very simple OB play. This was. I don't want to make a freaking POI identification video so long, bro. This one, my stop loss, I'll be honest with you, was actually 2 pips. not 2.5, but it was 2 pips. And my take profit was just these lows for your... Oh shit, my alarm. Give me a second. Alright, I hate that, bro. That thing gives me PTSD. I'll tell you that much. That thing gives me PTSD. Alright, there we go. That was the model. That was what I was looking for. Over here. I marked that wrongly. My entry was meant to be a bit higher. This looks like I took an FVG entry. You could have taken an FVG entry, but how would the IPA entry be? Like that. You see? Wick, gap in between, 100% fill. That is the IPA. Why will you take this in the first place? Well, let's take a look at our lower time frame. I believe there was a M5QM. Very simple. Very simple. Very EU, bro. EU with SMC, the way I've taught you guys on YouTube, is, I don't want to use the word easy, but it is so respectful, so simple. When it's, you know what I mean? It's very hard not to have a high win rate. Very hard not to have a high RR. The reason why I have high RR is because I've done every single thing, hand to heart, bro. Every single thing I've taught you on YouTube, but I've just refined it to like a microscopic level. There are people who obviously do it better than me, but again, if we're gonna keep on comparing ourselves to others, we can go all day long. But I'd rather compare myself to myself. So when I'm looking at this is also considered an IPA, not a hidden base. What would be a hidden base then? Okay, I keep on talking about IPAs. What would be a hidden base then? Let me find one for you. A hidden base would be, bro, I swear there's as I said, I don't like to use, remember what I told you guys, I don't like to use hidden base on the lower time frame. I would like to use hidden base on a higher time frame. Hidden base. This would be an example of a hidden base. You see how I'm marking it, right? It is the wick to the wick. This inner, not the whole candle, just the inner. I think you guys get the point by now. Right, oh, look at this. Look at this one. Nice. And it doesn't matter if it pierces through, because we know what? We know our strong low is here. We know our stop hunt, right? Strong low took the liquidity, and we know this is our inducement. So as long as price takes the inducement into either an IPA or a hidden base, we're done. It doesn't matter if it like wicks through or whatever, as long as we don't take this, because that means that the strong low didn't hold. Am I right? Right? But if it's within, it's fine. It's fine if it goes like pierces through. It's fine. But you see how I mark it? Wick, right? What other examples, man? This would be an example of what did I mark here on the H4? Okay, that's an OB. This would be an IPA. You see how we have that here, liquidity in between. We just take the 100% fill. And that's how we mark the IPA candle. How do we mark the hidden base? Hold on now. How do we mark the hidden base? There is one hidden base here, and there is one hidden base here. Why was the reaction on the lower one? Well, simple, because we had a confluence with a breaker or structure. See how that's the structure here? Sell, buy, break the structure, imbalance, or whatever you want to call it in here. Okay, so that's why I use hidden bases only on the higher time frame as a POI. Lower time frame, I just play it off of OBs and IPAs. That is it. And this is a tribute to Hamdi Zuka. Rest in peace, my brother. Tribute to him for teaching me about IPAs. I never knew about this in my life before, but thanks to him, rest in peace, Hamdi. Rest in peace. Much respect to him. And yeah, he's the one who taught me all this stuff. So I wanted to share it to you guys. And you guys have a wonderful day. That's it.